Alright, so this is a new type of series where I just am going to take crap apart and show you how it works. I already started on this one. This is a generator off of a car, off of a hybrid. We'll start by pulling off this cast iron piece. It's just the oil pump, pretty much the same as in an engine. Pull off, cover the actual generator, and you can see all the windings inside. Everything's covered in transmission fluid. Keep turning it down. Alright, so we've pulled this casing off. Doesn't really appear to be too much in it. I'm not exactly sure what's in this. I do see some copper windings in there, so we'll take this apart further in a minute. But in here, we got a planetary gear set. That's pretty cool. That's going on the shelf. Massive bearings. Here's differential for the front axles. Which is being driven by this over here, which I believe. Let's see, so the continuity of this video is becoming questionable. But anyways, I've opened it up. The suggestion that there's a CVT in here, no. We've got our differential here, Princess Fuzzy Butt. Just a gear that splines with it, and planetary gear. And those all went in here. The differential going through this hole in the other gear set in here. You can see the bearing races and the cone bearings. Massive bearing, and I believe so. We've got our generator in there. That splines to the engine, and I think under here, or sorry, the other way around. That splines to the drive shaft, and I believe this splines to the engine, and I think there's another generator in here. But this little snap ring is an absolute pain to get out. What else do we have in here? Got our little pickup screen for oil. Actually, two of them, if you can see down there. Two pickup screens to pick up the transmission oil. And this linkage here, which was controlled by, I assume that's a servo that I broke. And it's a ratcheting mechanism of some sort. You can see how it works. Because this piece was bolted down, and it's just a spring-loaded mechanism. So, for those of you who don't know how a differential works, basically what we have going on here, this is the ring gear. This is where the actual drive comes in. Most of the time this gear is angled because you'll have a pinion from the actual transmission going in this way that meshes with it. But in this case, you know, it meshes with another gear, and the actual engine is going, or transmission is going this way. So this entire unit spins from the input of the engine, transmission, whatever. And all we have in here, this entire mechanism has one purpose, which is to allow the axle comes in one side and in the other side, and this allows them to travel at different speeds, which allows you to take turns with, when you take turns, the wheels travel at different lengths throughout that turn, and this just allows it to do so. So sometimes you'll see people weld these up to allow for that to not work, because if you're off-roading and you have one wheel in the air, then that other wheel isn't going to get any traction. So a welded differential, you know, makes it so that can't happen. And the middle ground here is what's known as a limited slip differential, which I'm not going to go into because it's pretty complicated and I don't have one to demonstrate with, so you should go look it up. But basically, it allows the wheels to turn at a different speed, but if one starts spinning, then it'll lock it up and give the other wheel some torque as well. And likewise, for those who don't know, a planetary gear set, although this isn't complete, there's a ring gear that goes around the outside here and meshes with all four of these. And that is still in the case of the transmission. A planetary gear set is mostly used in automatic transmissions because if you have an input shaft, an input spinning, and you can lock either these gears, the ring gear, or in order to create different output speeds. That isn't what's going on here. This is just to reduce the speed, but that's pretty common. And if you noticed, these bearings might look a little goofy to some. Obviously not to anybody who's involved in the automotive. But these side load cone bearings, there's a better word that I can't think of. The roller bearings are actually pretty interesting because you can see these are nice and scratched up. I don't think that's why this transmission was decommissioned. And you can also see it's flash rusting somehow, even though we're in the freaking most arid part of the country. But all of the points in this, in each side of the bearing and the inner race and outer race, all, connect to a focal point, which is what allows them to actually spin freely. You'll find these on hubs in cars in pairs of 1 or 2. Hi, fuzzy butt. And basically in anything involving axles, because these can take a side load. They can have pressure going on them and still spin freely, whereas your typical ball bearings can't really do that. I think I just found some evidence as to why this thing failed. This is a magnet here, and if my stupid camera will ever focus, you can see it's covered in little, very, very fine particles of steel that's creating this nice metallic slurry all over my fingers. So, somewhere in here, something's worn pretty bad. I'm still trying to get that stupid snap ring out. It's taking me like hours of my life at this point. Okay, we got this out. Let's see. Oh, we got another planetary gear set inside. That's pretty cool. Huh. Look at the size of that ball bearing. And it looks like these teeth here and these here functioned. Oh, that's kind of weird. Because you can see all the oil channels in here. Obviously that functioned to hold it in place. At first I thought this whole thing rotated so that worked like an oil pump, but no. Kinda weird. Got a couple passages here into the other side where we know the generator is. That's pretty weird. Yeah, look at that. That's pretty cool. Looks like that was just a gasket that sat in there. Kind of strange why those oil pathways are there. Not sure I understand fully. Okay, I know I didn't take it completely apart, and we probably missed some of the smaller things going on in here, but I have another project that's right next to me, conveniently out of frame, and I would like to get that in, and I have little more than a week to do it on top of work. So hope you enjoyed, and yeah.